Rats are starting off 2021 trying to see who can be the wokest of them all, and Nэнsi Pilоси is leading the charge with a new House resolution that is designed to quote-unquote promote gender inclusivity, when in my opinion it actually does the exact opposite. But before we get into that, my name is Greg Foreman and you're watching A Black Conservative Perspective. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share. A Black Conservative Perspective, aka a leftist worst nightmare. You can also follow me on Twitter at GForemanBCP. Let's get it. Alright guys, so there's a nice little write-up here on Axios in regards to this new proposal pushed by Nэнsi Pilоsi, which means that it's going to get some serious consideration, unfortunately. That says that he/she could be they in the new Congress. The House of Representatives is poised to rewrite its rules, swapping out male and female references like he and she for gender-neutral terms in a diversity and inclusion push by House Speaker Nэнsi Pilоsi and the Democrats that's drawing scorn from Republicans. Why it matters. This proposal comes as transgender and non-binary candidates are being elected around the country. Progressives are gaining influence in the Democrat politics and U.S. schools, and companies are adjusting policies and language to reflect society's changing views on sexuality and gender identification. All right, I don't agree with this statement. I don't think society as a whole is changing its views on gender identification and sexuality. What's happening is that the woke left and the academic elite are trying to push this change on society. That doesn't mean that society as a whole is cool with this. Because I'm going to tell you, if you ask most people, you know, you get them in a room and you say, hey, I'm not telling anybody what you really think about this, they go in line with the conservatives. I think that as conservatives, you know, we're losing this battle because, one, we're trying to have this conversation, this argument, using the same language as the left. We have to stop trying to have the gender conversation. We got to make it about sex. We have to base our arguments purely on sex and the science on this conversation, because the leftist definition of gender, right, it's a social construction. And as long as you are operating within those boundaries of an argument, you're going to lose. Right. However, if you can shift the argument from social construction to a biological construction. OK, no, we're not going to sit here and argue with you about gender neutral bathrooms, but I'll argue with you about sex neutral bathrooms. OK, fine. You can have the gender thing, but sex, I believe bathrooms should be based off sex. I don't give a damn about gender, because, again, they define that in the construct of it's a social construct that's completely made up. Like, we've made it up. Okay, now, if I'm arguing against a liberal on this topic, I'm saying, okay, that's fine. But I don't care about that, because I don't think gender should be the deciding factor for a bathroom, in which bathrooms, a lot of bathrooms that we use, a lot of the stalls and equipment is based off of biological function, right? Like, you know, women aren't standing up to pee unless they bought one of them little, the little things, right? Those little combs that women buy to stand up and pee when they go camping, right? But I'm pretty sure most women aren't carrying those around and using them in bathrooms. Who knows? Maybe they are. Maybe they don't want to sit. But there is a biological function to a lot of bathrooms that we have, right? So I would make the argument, or we need to start making an argument that no. We're basing things off biology, right? If you have an XY chromosome and a penis, then you're a guy. If you have an XX chromosome and a vagina, then you're a woman. Now, if there's something where you're born with somewhere in between and there's a mix-up, okay, fine. But as long as there's scientifically a mix-up, okay, we can, you know what I'm saying, we can make some concessions. But, again, the thing is that we have to reframe the conversation around sex. We cannot keep having this gender conversation, because it's not a winnable battle, really, at this point. Because we're not arguing about the right thing. We're not arguing about the same things. And also on top of that, if you don't clearly define what you're talking about, if you're trying to argue with them about gender, they're also going to use as ammo to say, oh, people on the right are ignorant. They don't understand what gender is. No, I understand what gender is. I understand exactly what your definition of it is. But I'm not talking about gender. I'm talking about sex. That's the way I would frame it. But I don't think that society's views have evolved on this as much as the leftist media wants to say that they have. I just think they're being forced on us, and they're trying to say, oh, this is the popular opinion. I don't believe it. The changes were announced Friday ahead of two pivotal runoffs in Georgia on January 5th to decide which party controls the Senate and could stoke turnout among its supporters or opponents. Now, I don't think anybody's coming out to support the Democrats in the Georgia election just because of this proposal from Nэнsi Pilоси. I don't really think that's the case. Now, you know, a proposal like this from the Democrats, if I was Kelly Loeffler or David Perdue, I would say, listen, look at the Democrats. They're trying to essentially make these gender changes permanent, right? They're trying to change society as we know it. They're trying to basically allow men in women's bathrooms. I mean, this is the line of attack I would use, right? Because technically, this is true, right? And this is the line of attack that I would use. This may be good for David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler in terms of them outlining the radical left's agenda, because I do think this is radical left, in my opinion. Members are expected to consider the package next week. The package, announced by Nэнsi Pilоси and House Rules Chair Jim McGovern, a Democrat from Massachusetts, also includes whistleblower protections, removes floor privileges for former members convicted of certain crimes. I thought this was the party of criminal justice. I thought this was the party that's supposed to be giving people second chances. So now, if people have been convicted of a crime, they can't get on the floor? Well, I mean, I wonder what those certain crimes are. But anyways, it blocks Republicans from some last-minute amendments. It establishes a select committee on economic disparity and will make permanent an office of diversity and inclusion. But it's the gender-inclusive language that's drawing the most early attention. He or she would become member, delegate, or resident commissioner, and father and mother would become parent, while brother and sister would become sibling. Now tell me how this is promoting inclusion, right? If I can't say, hey, I'm a he, right, or I'm a father, am I not being excluded, right, at the cost of trying to have inclusion for a very, very, very small minority of people, right? Like, how, this, to me, all you have to do is say, okay, we will allow people who are non-binary or transgender to use the words member, delegate, resident, commissioner. But if you don't want to use that, then you can use he, she, brother, sister, whatever, right? Like, I mean, I don't understand why they had to make this so complicated where everybody, the majority, has to give up, you know, their rights to say, hey, you know, I'm a father, or I'm a brother, I'm an uncle, right? I'm a grandmother. All to try to appease a very, very, very small minority of people, right? So now, if you're in Congress, you have to use member, delegate, resident commissioner, something like that, something gender neutral, which, in my opinion, is really just ridiculous, right? And also hypocritical again, like the Democrats are, because Nэнsi Pilоси has a grandmother in her freaking profile. She doesn't even use gender neutral terms in her profile on Twitter. Again, more Democrat hypocrisy. Rules for thee, but not for me. I mean, you can't make this stuff up, man. Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, Republican from California, called the measure stupid in a tweet Friday night and sarcastically added, signed a father, son, and brother. I agree with him on that 100%. Good job. McGovern told Axios in a statement, quote, "It is ridiculous that in the middle of a worldwide pandemic, this is what some on the extreme right want to fight about only in Congress. Would it be a scandal to be succinct? We are being inclusive, efficient, and accurate." No, actually, it's the exact opposite. First of all, this is something that we should not be talking about during a pandemic, right? You guys should really be discussing getting help to the American people. That's what you should be discussing. You should not be discussing this BS. And second of all, you're not being inclusive. You're being exclusive, you're being inefficient, and you're definitely not being scientifically accurate. That is for certain, right? So everything that he said was a load of crap. And again, I don't understand why the Democrats would even want to start 2021 with this type of nonsense. But again, it just goes to show, guys, you know, if there's a Biden administration, this type of stuff is going to be par for the course. And it's going to be coming down the pipeline like that. Like that. They're not wasting any time. The Democrats are not wasting any time. So finally here, between the lines, the change could close a potential ethics loophole if a non-binary person is involved in a conflict involving a lawmaker. The rule text change makes it clear everyone, regardless of gender identification or orientation, is subject to ethics regulations. Okay, yeah, whatever. All right. So yeah, guys, there you have it. The House and the Democrats are pushing their radical left agenda here, their social agenda, in which they're trying to get rid of terms like father, grandmother, mother, sister, brother, and they're trying to replace them with gender-neutral terms like member, delegate, things of that nature, trying to be, quote-unquote, more inclusive. But to me, again, this is just another sign of the radical left agenda, where they're trying to change the majority of a society to fit the needs of a small minority. And I just want to make it clear, I am not anti-trans in no way. If you want to be trans, that's fine, right? If you want to identify as a man, woman, whatever, cool, you do that. But people should not be punished because for whatever reason, they make a mistake about, what your gender as, or for whatever reason, from ethical perspective or religious perspective, they don't necessarily want to go along with it. I'm not necessarily sure people should be punished for that per se. But at the same time, like I said, if you want to be what you want to be, you want to identify what you want to be, identify as, whatever, man. But, I just see this as pushing this on other people, and that's why I have a problem. When you start to push it on other people, and the people that are making the rules aren't the ones actually following the rules, cough, cough, Nэнsi Pilоси, that just pisses me off even more. So, anyways, let me know what you guys think. More wokeness coming from the Democrats. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.
Hi, it's Sam Barker here from the Motley Fool. Behind me is Landmark Mall, or what used to be. What once was a bustling and booming shopping center just a stone